didn't work out as an employee of the company, but no one could ever say, and he owes me money. A motherfucker could quit, cuss me out that day, never whatever, and they will get that check for the days that they worked. Yeah, because it's like, yo, all right, cool. We won't do. You won't be working for us again, but here's what we owe you based on the days that you worked. And yeah, and that means that as the CEO, you sometimes get paid last. You always get paid last. Actually, not sometimes you always get paid last because you got to make sure everyone else gets paid first.
Business 101 here.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. One of the best books I've ever read. But it's, this is something that's going on a lot now with the podcasting industry. When we had Brandon Marshall up here, he had I Am Athlete, and it was with Channing Crowder. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I know the podcast. Yeah.
And, they split up.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's gone?
It's a big thing right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And so it was...
Started making money.
Wait, why did they split up?
He said they wanted, he said he footed the bill. He took care of everything. He built the platform. He got them on there as co-hosts. And when it came to negotiations, they said, according to him, that they want 25%. And he's like,
he was saying,
can't really do the 25% thing.
It started out as for fun amongst friends. Hey guys, come on, let's chop it. I think you guys will be a great guest, and they ended up being permanent fixtures. But with that type of progression, it's amongst friends. You don't necessarily establish operating agreements out the gate.
Yeah.
And so now the podcast is successful, and we have bills, and we're figures now, and other people are giving different evaluations. So what is my worth, and how's that going to work out? So
yeah, it happened with Joe Budden, right?
Precisely.
Same type of thing. I try to make it very, very clear that I'm the owner of the content. There's no partners. There's no shareholders. But then I've always paid from the very beginning, and that's how you avoid that situation, is that you pay people from the very beginning, so they're not thinking that later on we're all going to be partners. Now, if you start out as partners, that's fine. I'm not saying partnerships are good or bad or whatever. It's just not for me. That I've always just paid everyone. They get paid first off everything. And if I make money off the stuff they get paid off, cool. If I lose money, they still get paid. And that's how you keep it clean.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's hearing this.
Nobody owes nobody. All debts are settled.
Hearing this, this is the first time I'm hearing about this whole I am athlete because I've seen them. We've interviewed some of the same people. So it's just like, damn, that's too bad.
Yeah, man.
And he's still moving forward, Brandon.
Yeah, so
Marshall,
he'll probably get
new.
He'll probably get new co-hosts, and they could go and start their own platform and see how hard or easy it is. It's not really easy.
Yeah.
That's what's on the table now.
But not to say they can't do it.
Right.
Maybe they'll blow up bigger than him. Who knows? But it's too bad that they didn't have a clear cut understanding. Because I understand why they would ask for it, and I understand why he would say no. And unfortunately, they couldn't find a middle ground.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
What's interesting is I think he's taking this on his own. And from my perspective, it may be to kind of prove them wrong. So I don't know if that's the best decision, but it's going to be interesting. It'll be dope to see how they both.
We'll see who the star is. Clearly with the Joe Budden podcast, Joe is the star. Right?
I hated to see that, man. I didn't want to see them split.
But he's still doing well.
Right?
He's still a factor. Yeah. And, it's too bad that he had that situation, regardless of what me and him went through or the threats that went or whatever.
What is the situation between you and him for the people that don't know?
The situation, and it's interesting, and I think that me and Joe are at this place now where we both realize that what was so shocking back then is just standard issue right now. Yeah. And I think Joe understands that. I heard him speak recently about how even though we don't rock together, he watches some of my clips and he respects the work that I put in. And likewise. Yeah. I don't rock with him, but I could see what he does and so forth. But the situation was me and Joe had done one interview, and it was cool. We put it out. And then Joe was very heavy on YouTube during this time, and him and Tahiri were doing shit and so forth. And he started beefing with this rapper in New Jersey called Ransom, who I hadn't heard of at the time, but the two of them had some sort of history, and he was dissing Ransom on his own YouTube channel. So we hit up Ransom and said, hey, did you want to do an interview and respond to this? And he's like, hell yeah. And his response was a little bit nasty, which caused Joe to physically approach him, like go get some guys and then go like physically do something to him. And then his response to that was to get his crew together and go to Joe Budden's man's house and slap him on his front porch. And he provided the video to us. Ransom did this one story on Math Hoffa saying that I was the cameraman or some weird shit, which was not true. I was not there. I would not have gone along with this craziness. Yeah. We were provided the video. I was not the cameraman at all. And I don't think he remembers this properly, but I was not. You watch the video. You don't hear my voice in any of it, right? Let me just be clear. So anyways, this whole thing escalated, and Ransom, because of what had happened, I think he had shot off his gun. He ended up going to jail and whatever else. And Joe was blaming me for this without taking responsibility for his role in it, I felt. So it was kind of like a fuck you both ways. Yeah. It's like, I understand my role in it, but you're not understanding your role in it. A war of words, if it escalates to physical, that's on you. And if you're the one that takes it to the next step, you have to deal with the repercussions of that. You and I could talk shit about each other all day long, and there's no harm, no foul. At one point, we can get over the shit. But once it gets physical, it is what it is. And this started a 15-year back and forth of both of us telling us to go fuck each other back and forth, and us taking shots at each other. And, I did some things that, some interviews I probably shouldn't have done, and he did some interviews talking some shit he probably shouldn't have done. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, both of us became successful. And I think that these days, if a rapper disses another rapper and a platform goes and interviews the rapper who just got dissed, this is so common. Yeah. But back then, it just wasn't done. I was one of the first. How dare you do that? And then, you want to use the racial aspect or whatever the fuck else because you don't want to take responsibility for what it is you did. Whatever. Like we were younger back then. This was 14 or 13 years ago. It's like, we've all grown since then, and we've all done well. And, at some point, me and Joe might talk. He said he wanted to do a podcast, with me on Academics platform, and my thing was like, I'm not against that idea, but him and I need to have a real conversation first and foremost. Yeah, and I'm open to that. I'm open to me talking to him and like just hashing it out. And he may or may not want to do that. Yeah.
Joe Budden is. I've always been a huge Joe Budden fan, so when you brought that up, I remember the entire thing. Right? Yeah. And Joe Budden is extremely emotional. Yeah. So you definitely have to have a conversation with him prior, because he's somebody that could just go on Academics with you and then just go the entire
go left. Well, on Academics, I could at least, based on my relationship with Academics, I could be like, you're gonna just cut all this shit out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know that he will, because
be a good moderator.
Yeah, he's a cool moderator. But like, I'm not gonna sit down with him, without first talking to sort of test the temperature, because I've had, me and NLE Chopper were going at each other's throats at one point. We had a conversation, worked it all out. So we had a great interview based on that conversation. Nice. But yeah, I'm not going to sit down with someone who I have active beef with and just hope for a good result. I'm not here for trying to get a viral moment or whatever else. Like, we're not doing this. Yes, entertainment is entertainment, but if there's some real issues, we got to talk it out like men, and pretty much almost anyone that I've had issues with, I could talk it out with them.
Nice. Good.
Now, you had a lot of